Before he was called Satan, who was he? Before the serpent, before the accuser, before the great red dragon. Scripture gives us these unsettling hints that he wasn't created corrupt. In fact, he was radiant, beautiful, exalted, a being of light in the very presence of God. So how does a being like that become the ultimate enemy of everything good? How does perfection turn to rebellion? It's one of the most profound questions in all of theology. Tonight we go back, way back, to a time before the fall. We're going to explore the story of the angel who had it all and lost everything. Join us as we uncover the origin of evil itself. You won't want to miss this. Ever wondered where the name Lucifer actually comes from? It's a name that carries a lot of weight, a lot of history, and maybe some misunderstanding. Let's dive into it. The name pops up in the book of Isaiah, chapter 14. You might know the verse. How you have fallen from heaven, O morning star, son of the dawn. The original Hebrew phrase here is Halel ben Shahar, which translates to a shining one, a bright star. It's a name associated with brilliance and light. But here's where it gets interesting. The prophecy in Isaiah 14 is specifically addressed to the king of Babylon. So, you might ask, is this whole passage just about a human king? A powerful, arrogant ruler who eventually met his downfall? It's a valid question. The text is very clearly directed at a historical figure. But throughout the scriptures, we often see this pattern where earthly kings and empires are not just political entities. They often represent or mirror deeper spiritual powers at work behind the scenes. Babylon, for example, becomes a symbol for a system of rebellion against God, not just a city in ancient Mesopotamia. Think about the language Isaiah uses. He describes someone who said in his heart, I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will make myself like the Most High. Does that sound like typical political ambition? Or does it sound like something much bigger? It has the ring of cosmic rebellion, a desire to overthrow the ultimate authority. This isn't just about conquering a neighboring kingdom. It's about challenging the very order of the universe. This has led many to believe that while the prophecy was aimed at the king of Babylon, it was also describing the spiritual power that was influencing him, the ultimate source of that pride and rebellion. Now let's turn to another fascinating passage, this time in Ezekiel chapter 28. On the surface, it's a prophecy against another earthly ruler, the king of Tyre. Just like with Babylon, Tyre was a powerful and wealthy city-state. But as you read, the language takes a dramatic shift. It starts describing someone who was in Eden, the very garden of God. It says this being was covered in every kind of precious stone, sardius, topaz, diamond. The description is one of incredible beauty and splendor. And it goes even further. The prophecy calls him an anointed as a guardian cherub. He was created blameless, perfect from the day he was made until wickedness was found in him. Now, hold on, a cherub? That's definitely not a human king. In biblical imagery, cherubim are powerful angelic beings. They are often depicted as guardians of sacred spaces, like the entrance to Eden after Adam and Eve were exiled. They are seen surrounding the very throne of God in prophetic visions. So, we're not talking about a low-ranking angel here. This was a being of immense stature and importance. This guardian cherub was positioned near the heart of glory itself, close enough to reflect it. He was a creature of incredible light and wisdom, which makes his fall all the more tragic and disturbing. The text says pride was his downfall. His heart became proud because of his beauty, and he corrupted his wisdom for the sake of his splendor. So, Ezekiel, while speaking to a human king, seems to pull back the curtain to reveal a much older, much more profound story of a magnificent being who chose rebellion over his created purpose. So, when we put Isaiah 14 and Ezekiel 28 together, a picture begins to emerge. We see a powerful, beautiful, and highly positioned being, a morning star, a guardian cherub who was overcome by pride. He desired to be like the Most High, to usurp the throne of God. This ambition led to his fall from his honored position. While the prophecies were delivered to human kings in their historical context, the language used seems to transcend them, pointing to a primordial fall that set a pattern for all subsequent rebellion and pride. It's a story that serves as a profound warning about the corrupting nature of pride and the tragic consequences of turning away from the source of all light. It's a complex and layered topic, and there's so much more we could explore. What do you think about these passages? Do you see a connection, or do you interpret them differently? Have you ever wondered where evil truly comes from? We often picture it as some dark, eternal force opposing the light. But what if the story is more subtle, more internal? Let's dive into what some ancient texts say about the very first rebellion. The prophet Ezekiel gives us a fascinating glimpse. He says about a certain powerful being, "You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created." Notice that word created. This is crucial. It means this being, often identified as Satan, isn't eternal. He's not God's equal opposite. He's a part of creation, just like everything else. So, if he was created blameless, what happened? The text continues, "Your heart became proud because of your beauty." It was an inside job, a corruption that grew from self-admiration. The origin of evil wasn't some external darkness that infected him. It was an internal distortion. A beautiful, powerful being began to worship his own reflection, and that pride twisted him into something else entirely. It's a chilling thought that the greatest corruption can begin with something as simple as falling in love with your own image. Now, let's turn to the prophet Isaiah. He records 5 specific declarations, often called the 5 I wills, that reveal the mindset behind this fall. Listen to the escalating ambition here. First, I will ascend to the heavens. Then, I will raise my throne above the stars of God. It gets bigger. I will sit enthroned on the Mount of Assembly. And then, I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. Finally, the ultimate goal is revealed. I will make myself like the Most High. Did you catch the truly terrifying part? The rebellion wasn't a declaration of war like, "I will destroy God." It was a campaign of replacement. I will be like him. It's not about overthrowing the system. It's about becoming the new head of it. This isn't about destruction, it's about substitution. And this pattern is so important for us to understand. It tells us that evil doesn't always show up with fangs and a pitchfork, screaming its opposition. Sometimes it looks like an upgrade. It presents itself as a better version, a more enlightened path, a way to become like God on our own terms. It's the whisper that we don't need the Creator, because we can become creators ourselves. This ancient story serves as a powerful warning. The most dangerous temptations are often the ones that promise to elevate us, not destroy us. They offer a crown, but at the cost of our soul. Here's a question that can really keep you up at night. If Satan was created perfect, a being of incredible light and wisdom, how did perfection itself choose pride? How can something flawless develop a flaw? The Bible doesn't give us a step-by-step mechanical breakdown of this process. But what it does reveal is profound, and it all comes down to the nature of freedom. Think about it. True, genuine love isn't something that can be programmed or forced. It requires a real choice. And if there's a choice to love, there must also be the possibility to choose something else. The highest beings in creation, the angels surrounding the very throne of God, were not mindless robots. They were magnificent, free-willed individuals, capable of incredible devotion, but also capable of defiance. And one of them, the most glorious of all, made a choice. He chose himself over his Creator. He chose self-exaltation. This leads to a chilling realization. Evil didn't begin in some shadowy, dark corner of the universe. It wasn't born from nothingness. The origin of evil is found in the one place you'd least expect it, in the very presence of glory, in proximity to absolute perfection and light. It was a choice made in the face of ultimate good. The consequences were immediate and catastrophic. The book of Revelation in chapter 12 paints a vivid picture of a great dragon and his angels being cast out of heaven. Jesus himself remarked on this event, saying, "I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven." This wasn't a slow demotion or a gradual decline. The fall was decisive. It was swift. In an instant, his authority was revoked, his position was lost, and his access to heaven was severed. But here's a crucial point to understand. He was cast down, not erased. He wasn't destroyed or unmade. This is so important because it means his story didn't end there. It just entered a new chapter. Defeated in heaven, his strategy had to shift. No longer able to corrupt the heavens, he turned his attention elsewhere. He set his sights on a new target, God's newest and most precious creation, humanity. And that's where our story gets drawn into this cosmic conflict. The rebellion that started in heaven was about to find a new battleground, right here on earth. So who was Satan originally? Not a monster, not a red creature with horns, but a radiant being, an anointed guardian, close to God's presence. And the origin of his fall wasn't weakness. It was pride, which leads to the unsettling part. If rebellion began in heaven through self-exaltation, then the battlefield isn't just cosmic, it's internal. Because the same whisper that said, "I will ascend," still echoes. Not with horns, not with fire, but with ambition. So here's the question. If the first fall began with pride, how do we know we're not repeating it? This is the Watchman Record. Thank you for watching. Leave any comments below and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.